بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. At the outset, like many people all over the world, are fulfilling the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I would like to say that it was with a deep heart that I received the news of the accident that Junaid Jamshed was subjected to, the crash in Pakistan that ended a life of a great man, a man that became a da'i 7 years ago, a man that I have the honor and the pleasure and the privilege to call a close friend. I was really looking forward to spending time with him at the Reviving Islamic Spirit RIS convention on the 23rd of December, only to hear yesterday about this terrible accident. However, when the time comes, فَإِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهُمْ لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. Junaid was a very healthy 52-year-old man who was really looking forward to a long life of contribution to the field of da'wah, as he was very well liked by people all over the world. And for those who have not heard the name, I would like to tell you that in Pakistan, as well as all over the world, where people from the Indo-Pakistani subcontinent live, Junaid Jamshed is an artist who really understood the dimensions of da'wah, who really went all over the world calling for the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it was the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows why and when and how we have to depart from this life and continue our journey towards Him. So I would like to say, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Verily we belong to Allah, and unto Him we are returning. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to dwell the soul of our brother Junaid in Jannah, in the highest levels of Al-Firdaus Al-A'la, and may we continue the legacy of his da'wah, calling people to the true path of belief in him until we meet, insha'Allah, in Jannah. It was the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and these things happen without us understanding, that Junaid left this life during the month of Rabi'ul Awwal. And we know that the month of Rabi'ul Awwal is a very special month. It is a special month because Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, historians say, was born on the 12th of this month. And some historians even say that he died on the 12th of Rabi'ul Awwal. Other accounts say that he died on the 27th of Safar, which is the month that comes before Rabi'ul Awwal. And if people ask why is this confusion about when Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, died or was born, or we say that the Islamic calendar was established during the time of the second Caliph, Khalifa Umar ibn al-Khattab, and everything was retrospectively counted, going backwards to calculate the dates. And that is why, these differences may occur because of that. It's really not a big issue. But the big issue, in my opinion, something really sad, is that every year we come close to the 12th of Rabi'ul Awwal, the same question is asked, the same argument is dealt with over and over again, as if we have very short-term memory. We have a memory that forgets how we dealt with the issue only 12 months before. We go again and talk about the same thing. And it's been going on for more than 1400 years. People have been asking the question, is it lawful? Is it legal? Is it proper to celebrate the birth of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ? How we should celebrate it, if it is okay, how we should really not even mention the historical event of the birth of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ before our children, so that they do not get really swayed from the proper passage of their aqidah, of their conviction, of their code of faith. And here I would like to say that honestly, it's about time. It is about time, and I say it with a great deal of sadness, that we realize that this ummah, this global community of Muslims, is facing much more important issues than to say, shall we celebrate or shall we not celebrate? Why don't we just basically let those who want to celebrate, celebrate it, and those who don't want to celebrate it, don't celebrate it? You know, as a dentist myself, I know that for a certain treatment, there could be so many different procedures. These dentists follow this procedure, other dentists follow another procedure, and many a time they affect the same result. They arrive at the same conclusion, even though they took different pathways. And who's the judge? Time, patients, the dental community. They may say that was a better procedure or that was a better procedure. So why don't we leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and get busy putting our energies together, our resources together, to think of how to solve the problems and the challenges that this ummah is facing. This is extremely important. And the ayat from Surah Ali Imran are ayat that we kept repeating years for, on end. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم. And hold fast to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And many exegetists, or those who do tafsir of the Quran, say that this habl, the rope of Allah, is none other than the Quran. Let's follow the Quran. Do not dissociate away from the Quran. The Quran is something that should bring us together. And there's a hadith that every time I quote, I wonder what people who are going to listen to it would think. But it is a hadith, and let me mention that it is hadith number 1709 from Al-Lu'lu' wal-Murjan فيما اتفق عليه الشيخان. And that is the hadith or the sayings of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that both Bukhari and Muslim agreed upon. And this hadith is in that collection. Both Bukhari and Muslim mentioned it. Would you like to hear what this hadith is? You would be so surprised. اقرأوا القرآن ما ائتلفت عليه قلوبكم فإذا اختلفتم فقوموا عنه. Read the Quran as long as you agree on what you are reading. If you face disagreement, then leave it and go. Don't make the Quran a source for your disagreement. And as an analogy, do not make Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as a source of our disagreement. Don't make his sunnah something that will disperse us and dissociate us. Let us use these three great sources as something that will unite us. If you really do not want to celebrate, then don't celebrate, but do not fill the social media as we started already. Many people sending on WhatsApp and on Facebook and on email and on Instagram and, just saying why we should not celebrate or why we should celebrate. And, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I remember again, a segment of the life of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Once he was coming back to Medina, and he passed by a place called Al-Aliyah. Al-Aliyah is a suburb to the northeast of Medina, and there the tribe of Banu Muawiyah lived. He stayed, he loved to visit different tribes to show them how close he is to all the Muslims. So he stayed at their dwellings, and he went to offer 2 rak'at, nafil, to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the final sujood, he took a very long time. The people around him got extremely worried. So worried that when he finished, they said, Ya Rasulullah, what took you so long in the sujood? We thought that something might have happened to you. Meaning that he must have died during his sujood. What happened, Ya Rasulullah? He looked at them. He said, in my sujood, I asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 3 favors. He gave me 2 of those favors, and he declined with the 3rd one. They said, what were the 2 that he gave you? He said, I asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to make all of my global community, all of my ummah, perish as a result of a deluge, tufan. He was thinking of Nuh alayhi salam. So he said, Allah, don't make my ummah perish because of a tufan, a deluge, like what happened at the time of Nuh alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, granted, your ummah will not perish because of that. And I asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to make my ummah in its entirety, all of it, perish as a result of a severe famine and drought. Even though there are many pockets of drought and famine, but these are things that people are tested with all over the world. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that the entire ummah is not going to perish as a result of that. Number 3, Ya Allah, oh Allah, please don't let my community, my global, my ummah implode from within. In other words, destroy each other. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declined to grant this favor. And when I think about it, I get shivers. I get goosebumps. You know why? Because to be united is not something that is granted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is something that we need to earn. It is something that we need to acquire. It is something that we should deserve if we work towards this unity. It is not something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, you take it, now you are united. No. People have to understand that they need to work hard. They really should love to be united, not to be given that as a gift. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no. Your ummah has to work towards it. And we are seeing today how we are disagreeing on big, small, large, trivial, serious, all kinds of issues. And because of this, we are paying the price. And it is a very hefty price. We are paying the price in blood. We are paying the price in dissociation. We are paying the price in destruction. We are seeing mothers. This morning, I was watching the news and I cried. A man, an old man, was pulling his wife out of the rubbles of Halab. And when he was faced with someone who asked him, where are you going? He said, my wife is very sick and I'm trying to take her out of the rubbles of what used to be our house. And I had 7 children. I don't know where any one of them is. And on the way, my wife died. Misery. And you may say, what mistake did he make to deserve this? I say that his wife, and probably he may, and nobody knows, graduated of this life with shahada, with martyrdom, with honors. But it is us who are facing the misery of being so helpless. Not helpless because we don't have the means. It's because we've been using our energy to fight each other. We are going against one another. And that is why we read in Surah Al-An'am, ayah number 65. Go and read it. قُلْ هُوَ الْقَادِرُ. Allah is capable. قُلْ هُوَ الْقَادِرُ عَلَىٰ أَنْ يَبْعَثَ عَلَيْكُمْ عَذَابًا مِنْ فَوْقِكُمْ أَوْ مِنْ تَحْتِ أَرْجُلِكُمْ أَوْ يَلْبِسَكُمْ شِيَعًا وَيُذِيقَ بَعْضَكُمْ بَأْسَ بَعْضٍ. Look at the kind of punishments that we bring upon ourselves. And Allah is saying, Allah is capable. Whenever you commit the kind of a sinful, serious mistake, you may receive a punishment from above you. Hurricanes, tornadoes, or from under your feet. Volcanoes, earthquakes, you name it. أَوْ يَلْبِسَكُمْ شِيَعًا. This is as serious of a punishment as a volcano or an earthquake, or, you know, on a community scale, if I say, not Richter scale to measure an earthquake, but a community unity scale, it is beyond 10. If 10 is the largest on that Richter scale, I say it's immeasurable. When we really look at each other and we cannot even look each other in the eye. I've been to Hajj and Umrah many times, alhamdulillah, and I've seen that, you know, there, when we have to really show the kind of unity, there are some pockets where people look at each other as if they don't belong to the same species. Why are we doing this? You know, Sunday is coming upon us. And if you want to celebrate, go ahead and celebrate. Don't even talk about it. If you don't think that celebration of the birth of Prophet Muhammad is lawful, then don't celebrate. But leave him alone, leave her alone. And just go about and find the things that will unite us. The things that will unite us. The things that will translate the Quran into action. وَاعْتَصِمُوا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ تَفَرَّقُوا وَاخْتَلَفُوا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ. Would you like me to continue? وَأُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. Continue? Yes, I'll translate. يَوْمَ تَبْيَضُّ وُجُوهٌ وَتَسْوَدُّ وُجُوهٌ فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ اسْوَدَّتْ وُجُوهُهُمْ أَكَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ. Look at this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala equated dissociation with kufr. أَكَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ. إيمانكم is unity. Is unity. As many of the mufassirin, you know, translated that to say kufr is dissociation, iman is unity. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, do not separate and dissipate after you were united. And for those who will do that, they will face very serious punishment. When? On a day when some faces will be very dark out of shame, out of embarrassment, out of fear. And some faces will be white and relaxed and clear. As for those whose faces will be dark, they will be asked, did you dissociate after you were united? فَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. So taste the torment as you were separating from each other. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ بِيَضَّتْ وُجُوهُهُمْ فَفِي رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. And as for those whose faces are white, then you are going to be in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, dwelling therein for eternity, forever, for eternity. This is what unity is all about. I really would like, in conclusion, once again, to shower, or to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower the soul of my brother, whom I have known for 4 years, Junaid Jamshed, to shower his soul with mercy and to make him dwell in Jannah. And as for those who really are having difficulty reconciling those differences, let us understand that at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Hadrat Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and Hadrat Umar ibn al-Khattab had different opinions on much more important issues than the celebration of the birthday, or, much more. They had different opinions, but they reconciled. Tell me, by Allah, which is more important? Deciding on the celebration of the birth of the Prophet, or deciding on the compilation of the Quran for the Ummah? Which is more serious and important? Do I need to answer? The answer is well known. But Hadrat Abu Bakr and Hadrat Umar understood Islam as it should be. And their hearts were together. Their hearts were together. And that's why they became icons of faith for this Ummah. May we always find in our hearts a place to go back to where we are supposed to be. At a place where we will unite, work together, love one another through the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the love of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sallallahu alayka ya habibi ya Rasulullah. And assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.